Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant verses 8 to 12 of chapter 1. Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha
Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha
Kripascha Samitinjayah
Kripascha Samitinjayah
Ashwathama Vikarnascha
Ashwathama Vikarnascha
Saumadattistatthaivacha
Saumadattistatthaivacha
Anye cha bahavash shuraha
Anye cha bahavash shuraha
Madarte tyakta jivitaha
Madarte tyakta jivitaha
Nana shastra praharanaha
Nana shastra praharanaha
Sarve yuddha visharadaha
Sarve yuddha visharadaha
Aparyaptam tadasmakam
Aparyaptam tadasmakam
Balam bhishmabhirakshitam
Balam bhishmabhirakshitam
Paryaptam tvidametesham
Paryaptam tvidametesham
Balam bhimabhirakshitam
Balam bhimabhirakshitam
Ayaneshu cha sarveshu
Ayaneshu cha sarveshu
Yatha bhagamavasthitaah
Yatha bhagamavasthitaah
Bhishmamevabhirakshantu
Bhishmamevabhirakshantu
Bhavantas sarva evahi
Bhavantas sarva evahi
Tasya sanjanayan harsham
Tasya sanjanayan harsham
Kuru vruddha pitamahah
Kuru vruddha pitamahah
Simhanadam vinadhyochaihi
Simhanadam vinadhyochaihi
Shankham dadmau pratapavan
Shankham dadmau pratapavan.
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So last week we were seeing the remaining four characters from this verse with respect to building inner strength. Now, what you need to understand is that all these 7 characters which he has given, they are not exhaustive. When I say, what I mean by they are not exhaustive is, don't think that just because you know these 7 now, the entire knowledge has been gained. No. He has only picked up 7 major ways by which the ego can tempt you and the ego can overpower you. You know, it's so beautifully explained in one of the Puranic stories, where Lord Muruga, who was a son of Shiva, now he was fighting the battle with a demon called Surapadman. And the most interesting part is, Surapadman had this power to change his form. This is how they have described. He could change his form at will. So the story is that he came and attacked Muruga in one form, and Muruga killed him. And the moment he killed that form, Surapadman took another form. He came in the form of a cock, a tree, so many ways, and tried to attack Lord Muruga. So Surapadman, the demon, is the ego in you. And one of the qualities of ego, or the nature of ego, is that it can take multiple forms. How many forms? N number of forms, infinite. According to the situation, the ego can change its color, its form, and it can present itself in a totally different way. It can come in disguise. So that is where you need to be careful. So what did Lord Muruga do? He was very patient. He never became impatient. This is the first thing. In the spiritual journey, impatience will not help you. You can't become enlightened just overnight. You need to give yourself enough time. You should not be too harsh on yourself. And number 2, patiently, every form which the ego took, he kept on destroying that form. And finally, he killed Surapadman. It's a very, very famous Puranic incident. It gives such a deep message, the sadhana message, you know. When you take that yogic approach, then only you can gain the true wisdom. So the ego in you keeps on taking different forms. Whereas, if you take the conscience in you, it has only one direction, one form, and that is aligned towards the truth. That is why these great masters say it is very easy to follow the conscience. It's more difficult to follow the ego. Because conscience at any point of time, it will clearly tell you, this is the higher, more towards that path. That's all. It is the ego which takes hundreds and thousands of forms and confuses you. Then you may ask me, why is it that the majority of the people choose the path of ego? If following the conscience is very easy, why not? The reason is because when you follow your ego, that gives you an immediate pleasure, whereas when you follow your conscience, when you try to stand up to your principles, that may not give you an immediate pleasure. So even though it is very simple to follow, there is a certain amount of pain, there is a certain amount of discipline which is required. Whereas when it comes to feeding the ego, no discipline is required. You don't need training to follow the ego. Nobody gives training to be indisciplined. The mind naturally flows, even though the ego is diverse. That the reason is, it gives you an immediate pleasure. That is what in the English language they call as the ego boost. Whenever your ego is boosted, that gives you a certain amount of pleasure to start with, but in the long run, it can destroy you. So these 7 qualities which we are seeing, even though they are not exhaustive, but they are very, very powerful tools of sadhana, powerful directions for you to do your sadhana, because they are 7 very important modifications of ego. You don't need to worry about all the thousands of modifications. If you take up just these 7, and if you master your own self, what will happen is you will gain so much of inner strength that thereafter, let the ego take any number of forms. Let it come in any disguise. But you will be able to face the ego and destroy it. Because if you don't understand this principle, now you will get discouraged. Actually, there has been a question which a person has asked. What this lady has said is, on one hand, when I'm listening to this lecture series, Yogishri, it is so wonderful what supreme wisdom is being given. But on the other hand, I've been exposed to the yogic approach for the first time. Even though it is so wonderful, this yogic approach, is actually exposing all my weaknesses to myself. And for example, these 7 qualities. Now, just to conquer one quality, it looks like it will take a long time. Now, when am I going to practice all this? When am I going to conquer myself? So you don't need to worry on that account at all. Because the moment you practice one point, you will find your inner strength will keep growing. And when your inner strength grows, your capacity to handle your ego, handle your negativities will increase. So out of these 7, you pick up 1 or 2 and overcome them. And you will find that will build a tremendous inner strength within you. So first we saw Bhishma, the inability to distinguish between the higher and the lower. Then we saw Drona, the tendency to shirk your duties, whatever you ought to do in life. And then we saw Karna, the tendency to please others, especially those who feed your ego. The tendency to gravitate towards people who feed your ego. That is Karna. And then we saw the remaining four. Kripa represents passivity. This is a very, very crucial weakness for every spiritual sadhak. Because as I've been repeatedly telling you, the ancient wisdom has two aspects. One is the dynamic philosophy to live your life, to complete your experiences. And the other is the higher philosophy, the higher truths, which is to get connected with the infinite. So when you are getting inspired by the higher aspects, there will be the tendency to become passive in life. Now, once you are passive as a sadhak, when it is told that you will have to overcome your passivity, what you will do is you will get into these two extremes, one of the two extremes. Either you will start acting without thinking of the consequences of the action, that is on one extreme, or you will decide things but you will not execute and finish and complete your decisions. You will not act upon your decisions. These are the two extremes to which your mind keeps oscillating. That is represented by Ashwatthama and Vikarna. So first of all, whenever you're passive, you will lose your strength in life. Your ability to take charge of your life will reduce. Your life will go out of your control. See, Drona and Kripa are related to each other. Kripa was the brother-in-law of Drona. So Drona is a tendency to shirk duties and Kripa is a tendency to just be passive. They are interrelated. Actually, all these qualities are interrelated only. So what happens is, see, when we talk of what you ought to do, there are two kinds of activities. One is called pravritti and the other is nivritti. Pravritti means those things which you need to do, and nivritti means those things which you need to avoid. So Kripa, passivity, means he neither does what he has to do, nor does he avoid what he has to avoid. So the moment you are very passive in life, you will start losing control over your own life, because life will take you wherever it wants to take you. So spirituality is mastering yourself and mastering your life. You are the creator of your destiny. No God sitting in the heavens is deciding now what your destiny should be. That is a total misconception. And then the subtler tips. So when you try to overcome this passivity, immediately the next thing will be Ashwatthama. Oh, come on, overcome your passivity. Immediately you go to the other extreme. Without thinking, you start acting in a rash way. So you should start thinking about the consequences of your own actions. This is very important. Every action which you do every word which you speak, every emotion which you generate, there are going to be consequences. Whatever you sow, that is what you will reap. That is Ashwatthama. And then Vikarna is you go on thinking. See, Ashwatthama is without thinking you act. Vikarna is you think and you do conclude, but then you don't act upon it. You don't execute the plan. This is another weakness. Endlessly analyzing and planning. What in the management jargon they call is analysis by paralysis, or reverse, paralysis by analysis. Means your very capacity to analyze, if taken to one extreme, is it will paralyze you. It will not allow you to act. It's a beautiful coinage. It's the same concept of Vikarna. Should I marry or should I not marry? I know people who go on thinking about it. And then finally you say, okay, let me get married. No, I want to get a perfect partner. That's a utopia. You can never, there's nothing like a perfect partner. First of all, are you perfect? Then how can you want a perfect match? That's not possible. But anyway, I know people who go on seeing partners and rejecting them on very frivolous grounds. There is one person I know, right from the age of 25, he was seeing, he was looking for partners. Today, he is more than 80 years old. He is still a bachelor. And the reasons why he rejected many proposals, it is very funny when you say, oh no, the proportion between the nose and the cheekbone was not okay. Some ridiculous reasons he used to give, and therefore he rejected. This is what in the Bhajagovinam Adi Shankara calls as Yauvana Garvam. Yauvana Garvam means the ego of being a youth, you know. See, when your faculties are good, that time you tend to become a little egoistic and proud. You'll have to be careful. So don't endlessly postpone your decisions. When you decide something, now start acting. So you will find your mind slipping into either rash actions, Ashwatthama, or just analyzing and planning and no action. So whenever you find your mind slipping to Ashwatthama, now pull it back by thinking, by analyzing. And whenever you find your mind slipping to Vikarna, which is overthinking, pull it back by action. Focus on the action. So if you want to wake up early in the morning and do sadhana, now it's a very big battle which goes on inside you early in the morning when the alarm rings, you know, you just press the snooze and then it's a big tussle to wake up. At that time, you should not think too much. Like a rocket launch, you know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You just have to get up without thinking. Because you've already thought and you've decided that waking up early in the morning is a good habit and I want to do that. I want to do my sadhana. All that you've done. Thereafter, whenever you find yourself slipping into that, without thinking, just act. And if you're getting into this extreme of not thinking about the consequences at all, then you need to pause. So there is no standard formula here. This is what they practice in martial arts, you know. When Bruce Lee was asked, what is your technique? He said, the highest technique is to have no technique. It is only in the lower stages you learn all the rules, how to punch this, that technique, that all these things are there. But he says, as you advance, there is actually no technique. You will have to be like water, he says. Very, very flexible, alert and flexible. So the water takes the shape of the container into which it is poured. If it is a round container, the water also becomes round. If it is a square container, the water also becomes square. Similarly, he says, depending on the opponent, you now flow, with that situation like water. It's the same thing with spiritual. It's actually a spiritual principle only. So don't have set concepts. The principles have to be set. But when it comes to the application, see what is applicable in that present scenario, in that present situation, and apply those principles in that particular way. Then Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and we started off with Saumadatti. I'll explain that a little bit today. So Saumadatti, the other name for Saumadatti was Bhuri Shravas. So Shravas means hearing, you're hearing praise about yourself. Bhuri means abundant. Bhuri means too much. So Saumadatti represents the tendency to go on hearing praises about himself. Now when I'm talking of praises, now let us relate it with Kripa. Then you get a beautiful flow. So whenever you're passive in life, it doesn't stop with that. You also want to take the credit without putting in effort. That is a further modification of ego. See, whenever you want something in life, you should be prepared to put in hard work. There is a saying, some so-called management guru, he said, you don't need to work hard, just work smart. That is a very foolish statement. Of course, you got to be smart, you got to work smart. But working smart is not a substitute for working hard. Hard work is a foundation. Along with your hard work, ensure that you also work smart. That is the correct management principle. Because I find many people, they try to cover up their weaknesses by saying, oh, I follow this principle, I don't work hard, I'm a smart person. It's that is looking for shortcuts in life that will not last. You see, in any field, any achiever who has been able to sustain himself or herself in a field, whether it's music or painting or business or in anything, that person would have put in a lot of hard work, and also he or she would have been smart. So Saumadatti is that tendency in you to want good results, but you're not prepared to put in that hard work, that efforts which are required. If I were to ask you, do you want to become a multi-billionaire? Now, don't simply say no. Of course, deep within you, why not? You'll want to be rich. But then what are the efforts which you're putting? Are you putting the right kind of efforts? There you will find the answer will be no. Write down all your goals. What do you want to be? And you will say, I want to become this, I want to be this, I want to be, all that you will say. But what efforts are you putting towards achieving your goals? That is the question. So in the Indian ancient culture, they worship the cow and the bull. Actually, in the month of January, when the Shankaranti, that is in South India, it is Pongal, when that is celebrated, the final day, it's a festival of harvest for the farmers, and everybody joins in to celebrate. Now, the final day, they worship the cows and the bulls. They decorate the cows, they decorate the bulls, and they worship. Now, one reason is, of course, because, in agriculture, the cows, the bulls play a major role. And so, they used to worship the cows. But apart from that, there is also a deeper meaning. If you take the way a cow functions, what does a cow do? Throughout the day, it just eats some hay and a few things like that. But then what it gives out is milk, and pure cow's milk. I'm not talking of the milk which we get today, which is all, a lot of chemical intervention is there. But original, organic way, in a non-violent way, when you get milk from the cow, that milk is a very sattvic yogic diet. Not only that, right from morning till evening, the cow and the bull, they work so hard. And even after they die, their skin is used for making leather. Even instruments like tabla, drums and all, they use the skin. So whether it is while living or after they die, they are so useful to the society, so much of hard work. And what do they get in return? Literally nothing. They don't look for any personal benefit. So that principle of a cow, with which a cow or a bull functions, that principle of putting in hard work for the benefit of society and then not expecting anything in return, that is being worshipped. If you understand the deeper meaning, then that really inspires you, So one is to say, I want this in life. The next question should be, what efforts am I willing to put? What is the price which I am willing to pay in order to get this? Today everybody wants everything free. As a yogi, if you want to grow spiritually, come out of this free mentality. Because anyway, nothing comes free of cost. You will have to pay back. You will have to repay. The law of karma is infallible. If not directly at that time, you will have to repay it in some other way. So this tendency to get results without the effort. Everything I want for free. I don't want to put in any efforts. This is very dangerous. So in the 3rd chapter, Lord Krishna, he explains this in a very, very powerful way. Actually, he uses very powerful word. Stenaha means thief. He says one who eats without producing, without contributing, means one who enjoys the results, one who wants the results, but who does not want to contribute. He is a stenaha. Stenaha means thief, he says. So when you start wanting results in life, but you're not willing to put in efforts, in the long run you are not going to fulfill your goals. And that will frustrate you, that will reduce your inner power, inner strength, and your life will go out of your control. So that is Saumadaktihi. So we will stop with this as far as the verse number 8 is concerned, because I have given many points, even though they are, I've covered it, I've just covered only a few points in terms of each character. If you take, there is so much, but still that itself, I would say, is a lot of material for you to think about and practice in your life. So, thyself, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna and Saumadaktihi, what did they do? We will do verse number 9, which we already started earlier. I'll just briefly cover that and then we will move on to the other verses. So we'll chant verse number 9. Anye cha bahava shuraha,
Anye cha bahava shuraha,
madarte tyakta jivitaha,
madarte tyakta jivitaha,
nana shastra praharanaha,
nana shastra praharanaha,
sarve yuddha visharadaha,
sarve yuddha visharadaha,
and many other heroes, Anyecha Bhavashuraha, who have sacrificed their lives for my sake, all skilled in battle with diverse weapons and attacking methods. So in this entire verse, I'm not going to take this whole verse, but this point, Madarte, I took it in brief earlier, now I'll explain it a little more. So all these great warriors, what was their focus? Just to live for my sake. My sake means Duryodhana is talking. Duryodhana is the ego. So just to satisfy the ego. Your entire life, if you take, right from young age to old age, what is it that you do? Why are you doing those things which you're doing? It is ultimately only to feed your own ego. Either it is direct selfishness or it is indirect selfishness in the guise of unselfishness. You have to be watchful. Many great saints, they always say the path to truth is Satyam. Satyam means just following your conscience, being simple, truthful, and ensuring that your bhavana, that is your intention, is very pure. So either you directly work for your ego or you indirectly work. For example, what I mean by indirectly working is, a person says, I am doing a lot of charity. I go and feed the poor and all that. But he or she has to go deeper and find out what is his motive. His motive could be, again a boosting of ego. I am feeding so many people. It is said in the Shastras that whatever charity you do, whatever good thing you do, you should never publicize it. Because the moment you publicize, again the ego is what that prompts you to publicize it. Because it wants to trade on whatever good energy which you generate. So you have to be very careful. Especially when you're doing sadhana, a lot of powers will start getting awakened. And people may start recognizing your tejas, your spiritual growth. You should never allow all that to come and cause an imbalance in your mind. When you're using your social media, I find that people are just using the social media to feed their egos, that's all. Some small thing they do, immediately they take a photograph and they put. And you will find that in life, people who are really, really contributing, they do it silently. They are all silent workers. The saying is, empty vessels make the most noise. It's so true. How many yogis I know, they are not known at all, but they meditate and send the healing energy to entire humanity. Actually, the major part of the work of a yogi is not known to people. It's only 10% which people know. 90%, so much of work is done in the background, silently. That is where is true spirituality. Simplicity is true spirituality. So all these great warriors, even though they had tremendous talent, skills and everything, their entire direction was focused on Madarte. Madarte means working for the sake of the ego of Duryodhana in you. So if you do a little bit of seva, immediately the ego comes there. I am doing seva. I am doing greater service than others. If you gain a little bit of knowledge, oh, I am more knowledgeable than others. There was a Swami who was interviewed, and he recounts his incidents in his life. And what he says is, I went to the Himalayas, and I went to a guru there, and the guru was taking the Upanishads. And when I sat and attended those sessions, I found it so inspiring, and I was able to understand better than all the other students. This is what that Swami was saying in the interview. I happened to read that, someone showed me. See, the very idea of the Upanishads is to remove the I. And this person is saying, I am able to understand the Upanishads better than others. This is the ego. You have to be careful. Similarly, you do bhakti yoga, a lot of devotion, and then the ego can come and take over. I am the greatest bhakta. I am the greatest devotee of God. Actually, when ego takes over and pollutes devotion, that is when fanaticism starts. Krishna alone is God, Rama alone is God, Shiva alone is God. Whatever you are doing, you think that alone is right. So spirituality is all encompassing. It is not restricted to you, merely to yourself. That is ego. So Madarte. So go on doing tremendous sadhana. Keep enhancing your spiritual powers. Keep fulfilling your goals. But remember, don't do all that for your ego satisfaction. Do it for the sake of a higher cause. Pitch up a higher goal in life. Beyond your selfish interests. See, I am not saying getting things for yourself is selfishness. No. If you get things only for yourself at the cost of others, then it becomes selfishness. So start looking into the motive of your actions. No action per se is superior or inferior. No action per se is spiritual or non-spiritual. For example, I am now giving a discourse on the Bhagavad Gita. If I were to ask you, is this positive or negative? You will definitely say it's positive. Not necessarily. If my motive is to, get more following, more people should become my followers, then this action becomes negative because I'm doing this to feed my ego. If my motive is genuinely to spread this wisdom so that even if one person hears this, let his or her life get transformed. If that is the motive, then the same action becomes positive. So remember this in life. No action is positive or negative per se. If you take Bhishma, if you take Karna, if you take all these great characters, they were all great, but because they took the wrong direction, we are saying they are negative qualities. So similarly, whatever action you're doing, if you do it with the right attitude, then that becomes spiritual. It is not what you do in life that matters, but how you do it. What is your bhav? What is your motive? So you can fool everybody else, but you cannot fool the law of karma. The bhav behind your actions, the intention behind your actions are constantly being recorded by your own conscience. This is the meaning of Chitra Gupta. Chitra means picture, Gupta means hidden pictures. Chitra Gupta is supposed to be in the Yamaloka. Yama is a god of death, and Chitra Gupta is a chief accountant there, where he has the accounts book of everyone. So when a person dies and the soul goes there, what are all negative actions you've done, what are all the positive actions you've done, he sees that and then gives a suitable punishment, or he sends that person to heaven. So this is a story part. But the deeper meaning is this only. Chitra Gupta is within you, hidden pictures. Your own conscience it's like a camera, no? It keeps clicking and taking pictures of your bhav, your intentions. That is why they say you can never fool yourself. You can fool everybody else. But deep within you, you will know what your motives are. So whenever you take up any actions, look into your motives and start purifying your intentions. When you go to a guru, a true master, he does not go by what you say verbally. He looks at your intentions only. Later on, Krishna says, whatever you offer to God, whether it is a fruit, palam, whether it is a leaf, patram, whatever it is, it could be as simple as something like a leaf or a fruit. But if you do it with that right bhav, he says, I will accept. As a supreme reality, he says God will accept, because it is not in what you are offering, but it is with what attitude you offer that matters. So let your entire life become one of supreme sacrifice and working for a higher cause. Your whole life should become a sadhana. Sadhana is not restricted only to that 1 hour of yoga sankirtan which you do. That is a starting point, that is a foundation where you build your energy. But then that has to spread. The positive energy has to spread in all the areas of your life. So do everything which you ought to do all your duties, but have no selfish expectations. Do them for the sake of the higher cause. So many other heroes who have sacrificed their lives for my sake. Imagine the talent of all these great heroes, but their whole lives got wasted. We will also do verse number 10 and 11, which go along with this. See, what happens is Duryodhana starts explaining about who are all there in the opposite camp, and then who are there in his own camp. But in that process, a lot of fear sets in. That is what in 10 and 11 he gives. When he starts saying this, a lot of fear comes, and then he says, all of you now get arrayed in your position, get stationed in your position, and you have to guard Bhishma, he says. Now, why do we say Duryodhana is ridden with fear? See, whenever you are selfish, there will be fear. Why? How do we say that Duryodhana had fear? See, Bhishma was one person who did not require any protection because he had this boon of Ichamrityu. He could die at his will. It was others who required protection. Yet Duryodhana says, everyone now array get stationed in your position, and with the sole aim of protecting Bhishma, he says. We will just see that, and then Bhishma's response to that. That is something which we will see today. How he takes the conch and he blows, and the conch actually is very, very symbolic in terms of building your inner strength. It is a very crucial thing. And then after that, how Krishna and Arjuna, they come into the picture, and how all of them take their conches. It starts with Krishna only in the opposite camp, and each conch has a name, and it's very, very interesting, and the deeper messages you get are so wonderful. So we will just chant verses 10 and 11. I'm not going to explain fully, but just that to get the flow of thought, okay? So now we'll chant verses 10 and 11. Aparyaptam tadasmakam
Aparyaptam tadasmakam
balam bhishmabhirakshitam
balam bhishmabhirakshitam
paryaptam tvidametesham
paryaptam tvidametesham
balam bhimabhirakshitam
balam bhimabhirakshitam
ayaneshu cha sarveshu
ayaneshu cha sarveshu
yatha bhagamavasthitah
yatha bhagamavasthitah
bhishmamevabhirakshantu
bhishmamevabhirakshantu
bhavantas sarva evahi
bhavantas sarva evahi.
So what is he saying in verse 10? He says, aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam. Insufficient is that force of ours, though protected by Bhishma. Paryaptam tvidame tesham balam bhima abhirakshitam. Sufficient indeed is this force of theirs protected by Bhima. So this is the fear. See, factually, the Kaurava army had 11 battalions. The Pandava army had only 7. So the Kauravas were not insufficient. They had enough battalions. Yet, he says insufficient is that force of ours. Whereas the Pandava army, he says, is complete and sufficient, protected by Bhima. So this is the fear which Duryodhana is getting into. And then what does he say in verse number 11? He says, and stationed in all the respective places of your division, indeed all of you protect Bhishma alone. These two verses, when we read together, it gives a beautiful flow. So once the fear starts coming in a person, how it weakens him. So as a leader, as a king there, instead of guiding the forces in a proper way, he is asking them to get arrayed in order to protect Bhishma alone, he says. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagama vastitaha bhishmam eva abhirakshantu. Protect Bhishma alone. Whereas actually Bhishma was the only person who didn't need protection in the army. So when you are riddled with fear, your decision making ability goes down. Your clarity goes down. This is so relevant in, when we take the situation right now. Everybody is riddled with fear about corona. The moment you develop fear, that does not allow you to take right decisions in life. One person who didn't require protection, he says, let us invest all our energies in trying to protect that person. So Duryodhana has started blabbering now. So fear is only an example. Any negative emotion when you have, now that will weaken you. So you should not base your decision on any negative emotion. This is one tip which you get from these two verses. Whenever you are fully consumed by a negative emotion, it could be fear, it could be anger, it could be anything, any negative emotion. That negative emotion will gather momentum and it will push you to act. It will push you to take a decision. So there you have to be careful. Straight away you can't remove the negative emotion because that you have brought from the past. Through sadhana only that negative will get converted into positive. But at least you can do one thing. You can resist taking any decision, coming to any conclusions based on the negative emotion. That is within your control. And then of course when you keep doing your sadhana, the very negative emotion will get converted into positive. So whenever you are angry, whenever you are fearful, what is suggested is you do deep breathing when you get time, or the next sadhana session when you sit for yoga sankirtan, do deep breathing and first release that. Come to a certain balanced state where that emotion is not toppling you. Thereafter, if you take a decision, that decision will invariably be a correct decision. So many people I know, just in a fit of emotion they do something and then later on they regret. There was a man in Mumbai, this happened many years back. His wife passed away and he felt so sorrowful. In that fit of that emotion, he donated his entire property to a charitable institution. After 3-4 months, when he got back the balance, now he found that he was left in the streets. So he went back to the charitable institution and said, I want back my property. And they said, no, once given is given. He put a case in the court. Very interesting case study, See, when you read these kind of incidents in life, you should immediately learn something from it. So this is what they call as smashana vairagya. Smashana vairagya means that detachment which you get in a funeral. When you are caught up with that emotion, you will feel that you are very, very detached. That is not true detachment. It's smashana vairagya. So apply that in every area of your life. So all his energy he wants to focus on something, on Bhishma, who does not require any help. This is a wrong decision, wrong judgment which Duryodhana makes. Of course, we see that Bhishma recognizes that, and that is why he takes the conch to cheer up Duryodhana. That's how they have put it. But what is a conch? What is its relevance to sadhana? All that is very interesting. But before we go to the conch, certain sadhana points, tips I wanted to give from these two verses, which will be very useful in building your inner strength. So one is, whenever your emotion is negative, refrain from taking any decisions. The other sadhana tip which we get is, see, Bhishma says our army is Duryodhana says our army is insufficient, protected by Bhishma, and their army is sufficient, protected by Bhima. First of all, Bhima was not the commander-in-chief of Pandava army, it was Drishtadyumna. There itself he is making a factual error. But apart from that, see, what happens when you have a negative emotion like fear is that there is, you will project and magnify the problem. That is what Duryodhana is doing. Our army is insufficient, whereas their army is sufficient. So he is making a mountain of a molehill where there is no big issue. He is now building an issue. So when you have a negative emotion, which is where that is not under your control, that emotion will try to possess you and it will cloud your discrimination. You will start projecting your negative pattern and magnify the problem. And once you magnify the problem, this is what you will come to wrong conclusions, and your mind will start giving solutions based on the negative emotion rather than seeing what is the reality. That is why when a person is afraid or when a person is angry, there is no point talking to that person, because that person is not amenable to any reason. So this is the second sadhana tip which you get. So here it's not a direct sadhana tip, it's a little more subtle. It helps you to understand the psychology of your own mind. So whenever you face any issue in life, just be watchful. See whether your mind is magnifying that issue beyond what it's supposed to see. In when I was answering that question difference between fear and caution, I had explained that fear is when you magnify the problem, whereas caution is when you understand realities as they are. So this is the tip which I wanted to touch upon from verses 10 and 11. And in the next session, we will take up verse number 12. Again, I am not going to go into the full verse. I will be picking up only that portion of the conch, because Bhishma blows the conch. It's a very powerful sadhana message, because based on that conch, then Vyasa builds a series of verses which all have tremendous significance in terms of your personality development, in terms of your spiritual growth and building your inner strength and taking charge of your life. So we will see that in the next session. Now we will take up some questions and then we will have some meditation also. There are some announcements also to be made. So I am taking up those questions which have been asked regarding the Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment Program which we are going to have next week. The other questions we will take up later. So first question, which was already asked last week, I answered it, but even after that many people have again put similar questions. So I asked them to group all those questions together. I will answer it again. So question is, can we watch the Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment program as a family like Sunday discourses? Same question only was asked last week also. And second question is, my mother is very old and does not know to operate smartphones or computers. Is it okay if she also watches with me? See, let me make it very clear, because obviously last week I did explain this, but obviously still people are having doubts. Now, this Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment Program is an advanced sadhana program, intensive sadhana program. It is not a mere healing session. See, in healing sessions, you are a little passive and you receive the energy. Thereafter, of course, what you do with that energy is up to you. Whereas this empowerment session is not a mere healing session, it is an intensive sadhana session. It's not group practice. You have a relationship with your master and you are going to receive the empowerment in a unique way. So what I will be doing is, I'll be connecting with all the people who have registered and who are going to watch. And when I invoke the Shakti, that Shakti will do a lot of things within you. So it is advisable to watch the Yoga Sankirtan Empowerment Program alone. Even if you are husband and wife, it's better you watch individually. There is also another reason why I am saying that. See, when we have these kind of programs in a group, in the auditorium like what we had last year, that is different because a lot of people are there. So you'll feel more free. Whereas in your home, just 2-3 people, you're sitting in your sofa or something, and let's say you're projecting it on the TV and you're watching. Now, very less people are there. So invariably you'll become more self-conscious. So when some release is happening, let us say some past incident comes to the surface, some suffering of yours comes to surface, and you feel like crying. Now, you will not be able to cry in a free way. You will start restricting yourself, number one. Number two, if some release happens to someone, the other person who is sitting will get disturbed. Their focus will turn on this person because the number of people sitting together and watching are very few. So that is why what I am suggesting is the first plan A, plan B, like that we'll have first choice. So the first choice is, if you can watch it individually, you will get maximum benefit because there will be no distractions. And when you're watching it, if you can even use a headphone or earphone. Generally, I'm not for usage of headphones and earphones too much because it's not good to cover the ears too much, but just for this program so that you can minimize the distractions, that's all. But if you have a good speaker and if you're which you have connected to your cell, and if you're able to, or your PC, and if you're watching, that's fine. Okay. And the second thing about the mother being very old, does not know how to operate smartphones, see, you set it up for her, that is your duty. I know another sadhak also, his mother also doesn't even know how to switch on and switch off a phone. So he has set up everything for her and then he gives her. So try that method. Try it first during the Sunday itself or some other programs, so that let her get used to it. If the situation is impossible, like for example, you don't have individual gadgets for you to watch, or absolutely, you're the aged person, something in the middle, if it stops, he or she will not know what to do. If it is too much like that, then fine, there is no other way, you watch as a group, but at least ensure that you don't focus on what she is doing. You just get connected with the master and you start doing your sadhana. Don't restrict yourself, be free. But definitely give her a headphone so that in case some release happens for you, she will not get disturbed. Okay. I hope I have made it very clear. The next question is, can we do Yoga Sankirtan personal sadhana on 5th, 6th and 7th of June? Not required. Actually, it's better you don't do because you're going to attend the empowerment program. So that itself a tremendous energy you're going to receive. So that is not required. It's not a question of not required, it's better you don't do that. See, when you come for an empowerment program, the first thing is you should feel very relaxed. You don't need to put too much effort. Overdoing also will not work. Underdoing also will not work. So just come in a relaxed frame of mind, attend the event. And the fourth question which people have asked is, sir, is there any special preparation which I need to do in order to attend this program, and any points which I can give which will be useful in terms of during the program. So I will just cover that. I have noted a few points. I have noted them down so that because this is the last Sunday before that program, so we should not miss out. So number one, as far as preparation goes, do your personal Yoga Sankirtan sadhana every day. If you have not been consistent till today, it is fine. But start from today. Today evening, you do one session, and then tomorrow, day after tomorrow, start. Finish at least 1 or 2 cycles of Yoga Sankirtan sadhana before the event. That will help you tremendously. And remember, if you are using the audio CD, use a CD player. And if you are using your phone, listen to the energized MP3 versions, because that will help you in preparing for this program. Number one. Number two, this is very, very important point, preparation is, don't miss your daily exercises. Whatever exercise you do, do them at least for half an hour or 1 hour a day. This is very important. Those of you who attended the Finite to Infinite program, whatever kriyas, sukshma kriyas I taught you, whatever you remember, do them. If you know some yoga, do that yoga. One person had said, I am a martial artist. Yes, practice martial arts. If you don't know anything, no problem. At least take a walk. You may ask me, sir, this is lockdown period. You can walk in your terrace. You can do step climbing. So many things you can do. Find out ways. But physical activity is important. At least 1 hour every day. Apart from this Yoga Sankirtan sadhana. That will prepare you very much for receiving this higher energy. Okay. And the third important preparation is, from today onwards, start thinking about your goals. What is it that you want to achieve in life? And start writing them. Be very, very specific. I'll be asking you to, think about your goals during the Yoga Sankirtan empowerment session also. But if you start off from today itself, when you come for the program, you will become very focused. This is what I want. So when the empowerment happens, the energy will help you in achieving what you want in life. See, this energy is infinite. Depending upon how focused you are, you will get more results or less results, So the more you are focused, you will get more benefits. So that is the third preparation. And several other points which I wanted to mention in general is This is all during the empowerment sessions. Number one, I mentioned it last week itself. Remember, only registered sadhaks should watch this program, because this is, I'm going to connect with every person who has registered. Empowerment, when there is no connection, where without that higher help to receive the empowerment Shakti, is dangerous, because a person may not be able to handle the energy. So if something happens, don't come to me like that. So here alone, you have to be careful. That is why I asked the volunteers to create a username, password and all that, so that that will be specific for you. I have not given them enough time also. Suddenly from meditation I just came and said we are going to have the empowerment program, and there is a lockdown period, and so they were also finding it difficult to set up the system, because they had to buy some servers and server space, and to load to do this, to have this event, and not only that, install many softwares and plugins to create a system. So with limited time and with limited resources, they are quite confident that they'll be able to achieve this. It's a small challenge, but it's worth it. So when so much is being done, all you need to do is you get connected. Don't think of anything else and do the sadhana. So don't share it with non-registered users, okay? Remember this. And number two is when you're during the, that is 5th, 6th and 7th, during the session, don't eat anything 3 hours before the session, which means in India we're starting at 6 p.m. means don't eat anything after 3 p.m. Eat means don't fill your stomach too much, because that is not conducive for your sadhana. Okay. And third is, when you're listening to that, put your phones and everything in flight mode, and there is also this do not disturb option is also there. You can use that also. You find out in your phones you will be having that. So after switching it on to flight mode, then you can switch on the Wi-Fi. It will work. This is to reduce the negative effects, the radiations of the cell phones and these gadgets, And then of course the headphones, for best experience, you can use headphones. Especially the Yoga Sankirtan will be played when I'm giving the empowerment. The sound effects which have been created, that will help you to absorb the energy better. So that is a suggestion only. And as far as sadhaks who are going to watch this outside India, 6 to 9 Indian Standard Time may not suit you. So don't worry. This is applicable only for outside sadhaks. For those people who are going to watch from outside India, in those areas, the video will be kept for 18 hours after it finishes. So you choose one time which is convenient for you when your stomach is empty. For example, those who are in Australia, I think it will be midnight. I'm not 100% sure of these time zones, but in case supposing your time is midnight when it is 6 p.m. in India, no problem. Early in the morning, you fix a time, let's say 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Similarly in US, I think in New York, New Jersey, it will be around 8 or 8:30 in the morning, previous day. So you fix a particular time and stick to that. But remember, just because it is available for 18 hours, don't repeat you're watching. Just watch it only once, because this is going to be very powerful energy. If you overdo it, you will not be able to handle it. That's why I have kept it for 3 days, enough time in between, enough gap, so that you can absorb. Dosage is very important. So watch it only once without a break. Stick to one time every day. This will give you excellent results. Don't see one day you see at 6 a.m., next day at 8 a.m. Then the discipline goes away, So that is the second thing. As far as Indian sadhaks are concerned, the video will not be kept after the event is over. It is like you coming for a live event. So from 6 to 9 means you be there a little early, switch on your device and be ready. And once the event starts, just go with the event. After 9, it is over. Okay. So that is the discipline. If you are late, you will be the loser. So you decide. And it's important for the foreign sadhaks, watch the sessions without any break. Don't worry. I will be giving a small bio break in between. So wherever is required, I'll be doing that. So as far as you are concerned, once you sit, allot this time for the sadhana, for receiving the empowerment. Okay, this is very important. And a couple of announcements are there. First announcement is next Sunday, that is 7th of June, there will be no morning session, which we usually have, because we are having this Yoga Sankirtan empowerment program. So all of you, you will be participating in that empowerment, which will be building tremendous energy in you. And this is going to be very special, because since it's online, now I'll also be increasing the energy to very, very high levels, so that you can receive maximum. So follow these rules, these are very important. And so morning session we need to avoid. So that day you should just relax. After every Yoga Sankirtan session, you just have some dinner after the session, whatever time you choose, and then you just relax throughout the day and come back fresh for the next session. That should be your approach. And the volunteers, I think they would have contacted you, and they would have already sent you the username, password, everything. Whatever the system is. See, I am not so much familiar with all the technicalities. So they will be contacting you, and they would have already contacted you. Those of you who are still in the process of registering, they will contact you this week. But as I told you last week, avoid last minute registrations, because there may not be time to create something in the back end, your username, password, and send it to you. So avoid that. Be disciplined and well planned. Okay. So these are the announcements. So now we'll have the meditation session. This is I've been preparing you every week with short meditation sessions. So today we'll continue on the same lines. I'll be giving a lot of healing. So those sadhaks who are going to, who have registered, you will find that these few weeks you would have been receiving a lot of energy, lot of changes in your thought pattern, in the way you're handling things. A lot of changes you would have found, because a lot of preparation is being done. It's all being done with the aim of, with only one aim, that is, you should receive maximum benefits during that 3-day empowerment program. So after that, what to do, everything, I'll explain in the empowerment sessions. Okay? Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. Expand your chest when you're breathing in, And when you're breathing out, let your chest contract. Let your abdomen come out a little bit when you breathe in, and let your abdomen go in when you're breathing out. Relaxed, deep breathing. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Shivoham, I am Shiva, that infinite. I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am not these various thoughts. I am that supreme infinite being. Shivoham. 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 Narayanaya vidmahe Vasudevaya dhimahi Tanno Vishnu prachodayat. Narayanaya vidmahe Vasudevaya dhimahi Tanno Vishnu prachodayat. Shri Paramatmane Namaha. I am that Supreme Being, that infinite consciousness. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Let your consciousness come back slowly. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Open and close your palms a few times. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, your cheeks, forehead, the top of the head, the back of the head and neck. Very, very slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So I have infused a lot of energy today. These are all preparatory sessions for the empowerment which you're going to get next week. Now, the difference between empowerment and doing your sadhana on a daily basis is that in empowerment, your base level will increase fast. So let us say you're at 25% level, you have 25% level of meditativeness. Every empowerment session which you attend will increase that 25% to 30 to 35. I'm just arbitrarily saying, it may even increase from 25 to 40 also. When you do your daily sadhana, after that empowerment, what will happen is your capacity to go into the depth of the sadhana will increase. So purification will get intensified. So that is why these empowerments are very important. And you've done such wonderful karmas that you're getting this online. See, there are 4 ways of empowerment, either by touch, which is the grossest, or by seeing, or by sound, and 4th is by thinking. A master can empower the students in one of these 4 ways. So, since this is online, I'm going to employ the subtler methods of empowerment. So these meditations which we have been doing every week are to make you more energy sensitive and more subtle. You would have experienced that. So follow it up with your daily sadhana. That is very important. Okay. So next Friday, coming Friday, I'll see you at the empowerment session. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And as I told you, that Sunday morning there will be no inner strength session. After that, we will resume this series from 14th of June. Okay? Thank you.